Welcome to the base of the Miracle Sisters chestnut tree. I'm here not to talk about chestnuts, even though that's actually the reason that I'm here. I'm here to talk about a harm that is happening to just about everyone on Earth. And it's one that can be overcome, one that should be overcome. And I'm reminded of that because of what I'm doing here under the Miracle Sisters chestnut tree. Today is the 1st of October. This is very early in the year for me to be here under the Miracle Sisters chestnut tree looking for chestnuts. You may be able to see that there are a few husks here lying on the ground that are dropping out of the tree. Normally I'm not here until at earliest, and last year was the earliest ever, and that was the middle of the month. Usually I'm not here until the end of October. I actually started looking for the chestnuts in the last week of September. It's very, very early. And so anyways, what I'm doing here is spending all day, every day, waiting for chestnuts to fall. And I have to tell you, it is such a beneficial activity, although it involves doing nothing. Preparing took a lot. It took me a solid 2 days to get this spot nice and clear, because as you can see, I'm in the middle of the forest. It's taken me years, many years, to get this area this clear. But each year at this time, I have to sort of tame it after a summer of regrowth. So it involves a lot of cutting and cleaning and cutting and cleaning. Especially because it's so early this year that all the acorns were still falling really heavily. The reason that it's the Miracle Sisters chestnut tree is because it's sistering to a red oak. The one on the left is the chestnut, the one on the right is the red oak, and they're completely joined at the bottom. You don't know which is which, it's one tree at the bottom. But actually, that's not the reason that I call it the Miracle Sisters chestnut. The sisters part is that. The miracle part is because she self-pollinates. In fact, that's one of her children right there. There's Woody Woodpecker, the pileated woodpecker. Oh, it's a mating pair. Beautiful. So beautiful. That's one of her babies right there. I took the cover off, which is lying on the ground there beside it, just so you could see it. It's ratty because it's being ravaged by insects. They're eating the leaves, but it's really beautiful. There are many of the babies of the Miracle Sisters chestnut tree here. They're doing their little mating flying dance. That's the miracle part, is that she self-pollinates. Because the only other chestnut trees around here are her children, and they're all still small. Some of them are getting a little bigger. In fact, one of them, far up in front by my house, produced its first ever blossoms. So one day soon, hopefully, there will be more babies coming from her babies. But in the meantime, she's self-pollinating. which means these husks that you see here, these are sterile. And the nuts that are falling so far, I saved one, a nice big one here. You won't be able to see it. I'll do a close-up later to show you. This is a sterile nut. But one in several hundred of these nuts is actually viable. Nice big. And these are her children. They're proof that they're viable because trees are growing from them with my help. So anyways, it's a long, long vigil of me sitting here day in and day out waiting for the chestnuts to fall because they are way up there, 50, 60, 70 feet up. And so I'm just waiting for them to fall so that I can get to them before the chipmunks do and the deer, because they just eat them. Won't be any trees from that. So I finally get to the point. I'm sitting here all day long, just listening to the woodpeckers who came just on time for you there. They're gone now for now. And just being at peace. I'm here all day long still, unless I'm cleaning, because there are still lots of acorns falling, so I'm occasionally cleaning up just to make it easier to spot the chestnuts. But I'm just here with the Miracle Sisters tree. And it's so healthy. It's so... what's the word I should use? It's a way to... in a way, there you go. It's detoxing. Those pileated woodpeckers are still buzzing around. So beautiful. They fly with such control, weaving through the trees at such incredible speed. So that time spent sitting quietly, waiting for chestnuts to fall, puts everything into perspective. It's almost meditation without having to meditate. Because when one is focused on something, you're halfway there just by doing that. In fact, when I was new to meditation 1,000,000 years ago, the easiest way for me to meditate was to shovel snow. As I do now. Back then in my former home, far from here, I had a very long driveway, and if it snowed, I would spend many hours pushing a shovel. And I found when I was doing that after, I don't know, an hour or so of doing that, of just shoveling, that feeling came over me of being liberated. That's the real beautiful feeling of meditation, is that liberation. Breaking free of the noise in your brain. And there you have it. A new study that we won't hear about, at least not through established corporate-owned channels, including within the scientific nomenclature, literature, publishing, was talking about the harms that are caused from chronic anxiety And it was interesting for me to see, because there were some aspects that were relevant to this that I want to share with you. One of them was that when we repeat an episode or whatever it is, some bad stimulus, something that causes that anxiety inside of us, when we repeat it over and over, which is what anxiety really is, if you do it long enough, and according to this paper, 5 years is long enough, that if you've been repeating something that has been causing you anxiety over and over again in your mind for 5 years, you lose neurons. And if it continues for another 5 years, if you do it for more than 10 years, it leads to dementia. And it's interesting because this was a few days ago that I was reading this paper, this preprint. And since then, I've thought about how this applied to me in my past, and how since I had overcome the events from my past that were of that ilk for me, from my far past, how things have improved. Because when I look back to the time long ago when these were problems for me, but they were problems. They were true problems for me because I was caught in that trap of repeating that memory of the trauma over and over and over again, causing self-harm in terms of gray matter, deconstruction. But the interesting thing is that through meditation, and even just through, as I said earlier, calling this halfway to meditation, of doing anything that involves just being out here, first of all, in nature, and being at ease and focused on waiting for the chestnuts to fall, or anything else for that matter. You could be a bird watcher, a butterfly watcher, a photographer who just wants to take pictures of anything. In nature, that's the key, to have this peace and tranquility of there, I just saw the pileated woodpecker still flying around. Things like that. Erases. It does. It erases the harm. It erases the damage. It repairs the damage. Your brain can heal itself, even from the loss of neurons. I'm living proof of it. Because one of the issues that I dealt with stemmed all the way back to my earliest days, my infancy. in terms of parental abuse. And it was only when I became immersed, one could say I had mastered meditation and Zen, that I was able to break free of the trap of that endless tape loop playing in my brain of bad memories and whatnot. And I am so thankful now that I was able to do that before my father died, so that the last few years of his life, I was able to reach out to him and express my love for him without judgment, without any silly statement of forgiveness, because there was nothing to forgive. He was doing what he knew. He didn't know any better. And I was responding the only way that I knew, and I didn't know any better, especially when I was a toddler or very young or even later in life. It wasn't until I was ready, until life made me ready to drop that chain. And as I said, I'm so thankful that I was able to drop that chain while he was still alive, so that he could experience that with me. My showing him affection undid all of the harm. And now, even when it's interesting, I really don't, I was going to say remember those negative things, but I don't. They're no longer a force in my psyche. They're no longer embedded in my memory to be right there, to be instantly accessible, to be triggered. It's gone now. And I wish this for everyone on earth. Imagine that. If everyone's trauma could be erased, if everyone would stop being triggered. My goodness, what a world. What a healed society that would be. But the healing, whether it's society-wide or only within an individual, is the thing that matters. And I want this for you. And so consider this. It doesn't cost you anything but some beautiful time in nature. You don't need a guide. You don't need a guru. You don't need anything except to be immersed in nature, in any aspect of nature. It could even be just sitting by the seashore and instead of crows, listening to seagulls and watching the waves coming in. I used to do that in New Zealand and Newfoundland. My two favorite places in the world, other than right here, wherever I am at any given time, especially here in this sacred place. Those are my two favorite spots in the world, and they both begin with new. Wherever you go, there you are. I'm going to go a lot deeper into this topic on my second channel. So if you're interested in hearing some more, go over there. I'll put the link to that video once it's up right here. Be well. I'm going to look for more chestnuts. Although I didn't hear any fall, but I was busy talking.